say that a young startup founder has the team in place, has the business plan in place. Now, how should they go about creating a pitch deck that is investable and attractive to early stage investors?
Founders will find 1,000 articles online on how to seed stage. I mean, Y Combinator keeps sharing a lot of seeds. Into these days, I think it's become a fancy thing to share the deck which raised $1 million seed round and all of that. So I'm sure, I think there are many references that you can find. I think what I can at least clarify is the myth which might exist is there is a specific template in which you need to do. Absolutely not. When we raised funding, there was no template that we followed, like business plan, opportunity, SWOT analysis, competition, and all of that. Although there were parts of it somewhere and maybe in appendix, I think you need to be a good storyteller, right? At the end of the day, as an early stage founder, a founder who's trying to raise early stage for funding, you need to be a good storyteller, right? And in a medium like ours, which was more augmented reality and virtual reality, which is a lot more of imagination, we felt it is our duty to take our potential investors on a dreamland, on a journey of virtual reality, and then convey our product pitch through that. We couldn't make it boring because it kind of comes out in the DNA that how will I build a creative AR VR company if my deck is like a corporate slide with the 10 template slides. So, and that absolutely worked. In fact, that was one of our pitches went so well that although a lot of blue chip funds felt that we are at a very early stage, everybody had one common comment that this is so beautiful. You guys are amazing storytellers. You have probably the best pitch deck, and you are probably trying to solve the right way. Just that you're too early for us, and that's why blue chip investors never invested in us at early stage, and they don't also, right? Blue chip, it's too early for these days. Of course, you have separate funds and vehicles set up by blue chip funds just to focus on early stage, but we're talking about 5 years back when that probably majority didn't exist. So I just want to, I think, clarify that. I hope that's clear to everyone that you don't need a specific template, right? It's about you asking for money in exchange of equity in a company and convincing that person that you are going to make 3x, 4x out of this in the next few years. And creativity is totally up to you on how you want to convince it. But of course, there are standard 90% of the times things that work, which a VC would look forward to as well, which I'll just probably list and tell, right? These are not fully mandatory that it needs to be in the same order or all of it needs to be there. Feel free to, I think, edit based on how you want to tell your story. But I think there are certain things I have felt based on, I've done probably 100 plus pitches as part of a seed range and then Series A, which we didn't end up taking and then instead got acquired. On what I think is something that essentially is required as part of your storytelling. One is, I think, a clear articulation of problem statement and how you're solving it. I think this is 25% of your entire pitch. Sometimes I've seen founders pitching to VCs, and at the end of 1 hour, 45-minute pitch, there's no still clarity on what problem you're trying to solve and how are you trying to solve it. So very clear articulation of problem statement and how you're trying to solve. And in addition to it, what is your USP, right? It's not just, okay, traffic is a problem in Bangalore, here's how I'm going to solve it. I mean, that everybody could be solving it as well. What is that makes you and your product stand out, and what is that uniquely differentiating your product? That's something that again needs to be called out. You need to have a clear vision. As I told, it's a lot about the ability of the founder to be able to take it till the logical end and being able to navigate all uncertainties that exist as part of startup venture building. So I think you need to have a clear vision. And it's okay, nobody will hold you on record for it that, oh, your vision was this and now you're changing it. But you need to have a clear vision that these are the assumptions. And if the landscape, the environment, the market, the team, the technology plays this way, then this is how the vision of the company is and this is how I'll build a $1 billion company. It's very important you have that. It's absolutely fine whether you end up changing it later, but you should have that vision that in a controlled environment, this is how I'm going to build the company towards a logical conclusion. Few things like, standard slides like competition, because I think sometimes founders think that, putting competition means I am inviting myself competition, will it be a negative thing for investors? Absolutely not. In fact, if you think that you're the only one doing something and nobody else is doing in the entire world, 90% chances you will not get invested, because VCs don't want to take such a risk. They want to play a game where there are 2-3 players, there are 4-5 players, right. And expecting from them. Two similar companies being pitted against each, both raising massive venture capital, which is also common, right? Sorry, Manali, am I audible? Okay, there was some.
Yeah, I could hear. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so I think having competition slide is absolutely fine. In fact, you should be transparent and openly call out in your domain who are the other competitors, but also call out what makes you different. If there's no difference between you and them, then there's no point of raising fund. But maybe it could be that they are in US geography, I'm in India geography. That's absolutely fine. But call out what you're differentiating from how you're differentiating from the competition. Opportunity, because VCs again hesitate. So how big the opportunity is, how big the market, the TAM, SAM, addressable market, the serviceable addressable market, which gives a kind of indication to an investor that, okay, this person, the founder has done their homework to understand it's a big enough opportunity, and the value that the startup can take out of the entire opportunity is also high enough. And that's what makes their eye pop that, okay, it's a big enough opportunity for me to not let go of. Then the team, of course, as I told, early stage investments is mostly about the team. If the team is right, you can absolutely change your idea and build still a unicorn without, having to fret about it. But if you have a bad team, then even it's $1 billion idea on day one, you will not be able to value it at even $10 million if you don't have the right team. So a founder, couple of founders or one founder or three founders, whatever it is, the good founding team along with the founders core team is what I think is very essential. And you should call that out on how you have built that rock solid core team as well. Business plan. Sometimes people think that, it's not necessary for me to put a business plan. You're right. I think there is no practicality if you raise the first $500,000, $1 million, because the business plan you put on how the expenses and revenues will come, 80% won't work out that way, right? It's all going to change. And trust me, VCs know about it as well. Investors know about this as well. The intention is not to put something which they will match every month on month and say, why are you deviating? The intention is to see what is your thought process currently if you were to deploy this fund. They agree that it is dynamic, they understand that it's going to change, but it cannot be a blank slate at which you can start with after you raise the fund. They want to know how would you deploy the fund and how frugal you are, how smart you are, because a base understanding of finances is essential, although you are a tech founder, to make a company successful. And you have seen a lot of companies not succeeding because a base financial knowledge of founder is probably weak. So it's just to understand, do you understand P&L? Do you understand EBITDA? Do you understand gross versus net revenues? Do you understand monthly burn? Do you understand recurring revenues? And the at the end of the day, what is the runway that a startup will have? That's something as a founder you need to know, because if you're just focusing on building the product and not even aware of the runway, there are chances you will hit a dead end and you don't have enough funds in the company. You're not prepared enough to raise the next rounds. So it's good to put a proper business plan which calls out how you will deploy these funds and what is the runway that you have, say 12 months, 18 months, and what will you do with these funds, right? I think that's important. Broadly, this is what I would feel, Manali, is good enough. As I told, this coupled with your uniqueness of bringing the story out is going to probably, hopefully land you a check at a seed stage. You can of course add additional slides like a SWOT analysis, risk mitigation, and all of it. My suggestion is keep it to the point, short.
Right.
Have all of these slides in appendix, and depending on investors to investor, depending on fund to fund, there are different questions and focus areas they have, and you can always bring that up as an appendix whenever you want to.